I've probably engaged in a process of thought centered around the idea that I didn't want to be here. Didn't necessarily want to die, but didn't want to be alive. And in hindsight, it makes so much sense for a soul to be disturbed. If the world was more inviting, if society and culture was more driven towards healing and wellness and correct information about this human experience, then it would be easier to want to be here. And there comes a point when solitude starts to feel more like a curse as you retreat inwards and you create your little bubble, your nest, where you can hide away from the madness of the world. Because we are social creatures. We are designed to live in community. But because we've been living in an inverted hierarchy, harm is being caused to all humans. Well, some, and I can use that word loosely, humans. Some figures might have not really had to experience trauma. Might have lived a very comfortable life in an ivory tower. But for most of us, the reason it hasn't felt safe to exist in this world is twofold, but it's one and the same really. Our nervous system, which is the control center and seat of our observation of this life, was hijacked. So our anatomy, our physiology, our emotions and thought life got mixed up. Chemical imbalances, hormonal tendencies. So I didn't want to go out there because it's scary out there, but it's only scary out there when I'm out there witnessing the fear, the scariness. And everything is vibrational, so until you can change your mode of operation, the levels, you're going to be experiencing a scary world. So those vibrations draw experiences to you that are just confirmation bias for the way that you perceive the world. One time, I was floating around, found myself in Peterborough. Didn't have a tent, didn't have money for a hotel. I had money to buy a tent, but I couldn't find one, so I ended up having to just buy, 20 meters of tarp from Mountain Warehouse, something like that. It was a big piece of tarp, and I ended up rolling myself up in it. The weather was very, very wet. And I didn't sleep very well because even though I was rolled up, because I had a large amount of stuff with me and I got ready for bed when it was dark, I was soaking wet. I was miserable. I made a video on Facebook, just leeching all this emotional energy, crying, being angry and shouting at people because they had been witnessing what I'd been going through. Nobody had helped me, and somebody commented on the video on Facebook And they said, you need to raise your vibration. And that just made me furious, because what does that mean? How can I implement that throwaway suggestion? But it was true. It's just that for somebody to say that, it's like they're shouting down a really deep hole, telling me I've got to make a ladder, not telling me materials, not borrowing me the tools. And the secret is gratitude, to raising your vibration, to be grateful for what you've got, as opposed to ruminating on what's not there. We have this sense of entitlement as humans, and idealism, or even real world knowledge about what needs to change. You know, if the world could just be as I suspect that it should, then everything would be different. The world would be heaven on earth, right? So I'll just click my fingers and that's it. Everybody's awake, everybody's aware. Well, that would lead to catastrophe for society, because if everybody perceived the world the way that I do, then they would also sense that they are here to do things that they enjoy. So 50 million people in the UK would potentially quit their jobs, start a process of going inwards, understand what they're here for, what they want to do. So maybe there'd be no bin men. Maybe the toilets would never be cleaned again, anywhere. Maybe. Collectively, man is immature. So, to understand that it's my responsibility to see change in the world, well, viewed through a distorted lens, that sounds like a lot of work to do for me. That's literally carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, and they're not big enough. Doesn't matter how much training I do, I'll never be able to carry the weight of the whole world. I will never be able to see heaven on earth until I know that I'm at least embodying the frequency of that, which means acceptance, forgiveness, compassion for myself, because I do need it, because I've been through a lot, eh? And then the overflow from that is what creates change in the world. Vibrationally. We're all trying to see God in each other, but crucially in ourselves as the point of witness. Love.